In Des Plaines, Illinois, a quiet suburban town, there lived a man who was the life of the party. He was a successful contractor, a Democratic precinct captain, and a familiar face at community events. He even dressed up as Pogo the Clown, bringing smiles and laughter to children at hospitals and parades. His name was John Wayne Gacy, and he seemed like a pillar of his community. But behind the cheerful facade, the painted smile, and the oversized shoes was a secret so dark it would shatter the town's sense of safety forever. This is the story of how evil can hide in plain sight, a story not from a horror movie, but from the quiet streets of suburban America. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy led an unnerving double life. To the outside world, he was a hard-working, friendly neighbor. But inside the walls of his home on Somerdale Avenue, he was one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. Gacy's path wasn't a sudden descent into darkness. It was a long, twisted road marked by a troubled youth. Born in Chicago in 1942, he endured a difficult childhood with an abusive, alcoholic father who frequently belittled him. This toxic environment likely planted the seeds of the deep-seated rage and confusion that would later define his horrific actions. As a young man, he struggled with his identity and had early encounters with the law, but he always managed to present a veneer of normalcy, fooling those around him. He moved to Iowa, married, and had children, even becoming a respected member of the local Jaycees. But his first major crack appeared here. In 1968, he was convicted of a serious crime against a teenage boy. He served only 18 months of a 10-year sentence before being paroled. He convinced everyone he was rehabilitated. He moved back to the Chicago area, remarried, and started his own successful contracting business, PDM Contractors. It was from this position of trust and local prominence that he began his reign of terror. His victims were almost all teenage boys and young men. He used his contracting business as a lure, offering them jobs. He promised good pay for a day's work, a tempting offer for kids looking to earn some cash. Others he met simply through chance encounters, using his friendly, outgoing personality to disarm them. He was a master manipulator, able to project an image of a reliable, fatherly figure. Once he got them back to his house, the friendly mask came off. The home that looked so ordinary from the outside became a place of unimaginable horror. What happened inside 8213 West Somerdale Avenue is the stuff of nightmares. Gacy's methods were calculated and cruel. He would use his authority and charm to gain control, often employing tricks and deception before overpowering his victims. The details of his crimes are profoundly disturbing, a testament to a complete lack of empathy. As the years went on, the number of missing young men in the Chicago area began to rise, but the cases were disconnected. These were often runaways or boys from troubled backgrounds, so their disappearances didn't initially raise a coordinated alarm. But a pattern was slowly emerging if only someone knew where to look. Meanwhile, a strange, foul odor began to emanate from Gacy's property. Neighbors complained? Gacy, ever the smooth talker, had a ready explanation. It was dampness in the crawl space, maybe a problem with the sump pump. He even told one neighbor it was because his wife stored fruit preserves under the house. No one suspected the horrifying truth. No one could imagine that the smell was the result of the decay of human bodies, buried just a few feet beneath the floorboards of the man who dressed as a clown for their children. The crawl space beneath his house had become a mass grave. The beginning of the end for John Wayne Gacy came in December 1978. A 15-year-old boy named Robert Piest went missing. He was last seen telling his mother he was going to talk to a contractor about a job. That contractor was John Wayne Gacy. This time the victim was from a close-knit family, and his disappearance was immediately and aggressively investigated by the Des Plaines police. The police put Gacy under surveillance. They noticed his strange behavior and started digging into his past. Uncovering his prior conviction in Iowa, the pieces were starting to fit together. They obtained a search warrant for his house. The initial searches didn't reveal the bodies, but they found incriminating items belonging to other missing boys, a class ring, a receipt from a film processing store. The detectives' suspicion grew stronger. During one interrogation, they noted Gacy seemed to be playing a mental game, almost daring them to find the truth. One detective, recalling the persistent odor, had a gut feeling. He said to Gacy, "You know where they are, don't you?" "They're in your house." Finally, the pressure became too much. Gacy started to confess. He drew a map of his house for the investigators, a chilling blueprint of his crimes. He marked X's on the diagram, indicating where each body was buried in the crawl space. He had run out of room under the house, so some victims were encased in concrete in his garage, while the last few were disposed of in the nearby Des Plaines River. The excavation of Gacy's house was a grim, painstaking task that horrified the nation. One by one, the remains of 29 young men and boys were recovered from the property. 4 more were found in the river. The total number of known victims reached 33. The process of identifying them was long and agonizing for the families who had spent years searching and hoping. For some, it took decades, with the final victim being identified through genetic technology only in 2021. John Wayne Gacy was arrested on December 21, 1978. His trial in 1980 was a media circus. His defense team argued for insanity, claiming he had a split personality. They tried to separate Gacy, the good citizen, from Jack, the monstrous killer. The prosecution painted a different picture, that of a cunning, sadistic predator who knew exactly what he was doing. The jury agreed. After deliberating for less than 2 hours, they found him guilty of 33 counts of murder. He was sentenced to death. For 14 years, Gacy sat on death row, showing no remorse. He spent his time painting, often bizarre portraits of clowns, skulls, and Disney characters, which have since become morbid collector's items. He maintained his innocence to the very end, claiming he was a victim himself. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection. The house on Somerdale Avenue, a monument to his evil, was demolished in 1979. A new house stands there now, but the legacy of what happened beneath its soil lingers. The story of John Wayne Gacy serves as a chilling reminder that monsters are not just characters in stories. They can be our neighbors, our colleagues, the friendly man who volunteers at the local parade. They can hide their true nature behind a mask of normalcy, or even behind the painted smile of a clown. True crime isn't terrifying because it's fiction, it's terrifying because it's real. Thank you for watching.